People send me questions about Littleton every single week. And honestly, I love it because it tells me they are serious about this move and not just scrolling Zillow at midnight pretending they're going to do something about it. But there is one question that almost nobody thinks to ask me, and it's probably the most important one of all. Is your Littleton address actually in Littleton? I know, it says Littleton right there on the listing. But in this area, your mailing address and the actual city you live in are not always the same thing. And that one detail can completely change your school district, your property taxes, and your city services. So today I'm answering the 10 questions you should ask before moving to Littleton. Some you already had on your mind, and a few you had absolutely no idea you needed to ask. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Ewelina, and together with my husband Simon, we help buyers and sellers all across the Denver metro area. We have lived here for over 25 years. And I actually moved here from another country, so I know exactly what it feels like to look at a place from the outside and wonder what it's really like to actually live there. If this is the kind of honest local information you have been looking for, please subscribe right now, because I post every week and this is exactly what I cover. Okay, question number 1. Is my Littleton address actually inside the city of Littleton? The US Post Office gave the name Littleton to a much larger area than the actual city of Littleton. So you can have a Littleton mailing address and technically be living in unincorporated Jefferson County, Arapahoe County, or Douglas County, not inside the city limits at all. Places like Caryl, parts of Columbine, Sterling Ranch, Roxborough, all have Littleton addresses, but are not the city of Littleton. This matters because it affects your property taxes, your city services, or school district. The City of Littleton's own website says it. Just because your address says Littleton does not mean you are a city resident. So always verify that before you fall in love with a specific home. Question number 2. Which school district will my kids be in? Littleton has not 1, not 2, but 3 public school districts. And which one your kids end up in depends entirely on which street your house is on. Central Littleton, near downtown, is most likely Littleton Public Schools, which includes Heritage High School and Littleton High School with its IB program. The west side, Caryl, Columbine, Chatfield, is more likely Jefferson County Public Schools, known as JEFCO, where Chatfield High and Columbine High both belong. And southern areas fall under the Douglas County School District. The part that surprises people most is that 2 houses on the exact same street can be in completely different districts. So never assume and always verify the school boundary before you make an offer. And one more thing, Colorado has open enrollment. So even if your assigned school is not your first choice, you can apply to attend a school in a different district. Question number 3. Is Littleton actually affordable, and what does my budget get me? Littleton is not cheap. The median home price is around $600,000 to $650,000, and the cost of living is about 25% higher than the national average. But compared to where most of my clients are coming from, like California, New York, Florida, it feels like a reasonable trade once you see what that money actually buys you here. Around $550,000 to $600,000, you get a solid 3 to 4 bedroom house in an established neighborhood with a nice lot and mature trees. Around $700,000 to $900,000, you get more updated homes, newer construction in certain pockets, and possibly mountain views. Over $1 million, you have 2 different worlds. The foothills, areas like Caryl and Roxborough, with bigger lots and dramatic settings. But also places like Grand Ranch, with lakefront homes on Marston Lake, Beaumar with its private lake community, and Polo Reserve, which is a gated community. What your money gets you really depends on which part of Littleton you choose. We will talk about that more when I get to the question number 7. Question number 4. What is the commute to Denver really like? Better than most people expect, honestly. Littleton was actually named the #1 best commuter city near Denver. And on a normal morning, you are looking at about 20 minutes into the city. And that is real. Peak hour traffic does happen on Santa Fe Drive and I-25, so add 10 to 15 minutes on busy days. But what most people moving from out of state miss is that Littleton has direct light rail into downtown Denver. The C and W lines go right into Union Station. So if you live near downtown Littleton, you can skip the car entirely and arrive like a normal person while someone else deals with the traffic. One thing to plan for though, Denver International Airport is about 45 to 60 minutes away. So if you travel frequently for work, factor that into your decision. Question number 5. How close am I really to the mountains, and does it depend on where I live? Yes, and this matters more than most people realize before they choose a neighborhood. C470 is the highway that connects all of Littleton to the mountains, and from there you have 2 routes. I-70 takes you to the major ski resorts like Breckenridge, Vail, and Keystone, and then US 285 goes through Morrison toward Evergreen, Conifer, and smaller mountain towns. 285 is much quieter and a completely different experience, and you can still get to the ski resorts through 285, but it would take you longer. Where you live in Littleton changes everything though. On the west side, Caryl, Roxborough, Chatfield, Trailmark, you are basically already at the foothills, and C470 is just minutes away. In central downtown Littleton, you add maybe 10 to 15 minutes to reach C470, or you can go west through 285, but that's still an additional 15-minute drive. And if you're on the east side, closer to Centennial, you are even more far away. I mean, it's not far, same thing. You just have to get to 470 or 285, so you might drive an extra 5 minutes. So if mountain access is a big reason you are moving here, your neighborhood choice matters. So I would do more research on that. Okay, so as you're listening to all of this and you're starting to think, I could actually see myself living in Littleton, Colorado. I did put together a relocation guide that you might really enjoy. It's not about buying or selling, it's just about life here in Littleton. Things to do, parks, restaurants, or weather. It's free and the link is in the description below. So go and grab it. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do. I post every single week, so there's more to come. Okay, back to questions. Question number 6. Is Littleton safe? What I really want you to picture though is the overall feel of this place. It is a city, but it does not feel like one. You have neighborhood after neighborhood of single-family homes, tree-lined streets, people who actually know their neighbors. It has that small-town feel that is honestly hard to find this close to a major metro. So if safety and that grounded community feel are on your checklist, Littleton checks both boxes. Question number 7. Which part of Littleton should I actually live in? Littleton is genuinely not one thing, and the different areas feel different enough that it can completely change what your daily life looks like. Downtown and the historic area is walkable, charming with light rail access and local restaurants. A real small town feel. The Columbine area, Grand Ranch, and Governor's Ranch are established, quiet, family-oriented with bigger lots and mature trees. Caryl sits right against the foothills with trails behind your house, community pools, and an equestrian center. More expensive, but the nature access is in a completely different category. Trailmark or Solstice offer newer construction right next to Chatfield State Park. And Roxborough is completely unique, surrounded by red rock formations, very private, very nature forward. So when you visit Littleton, please drive all of these areas because they are different enough to completely change your decision. Question number 8. What does homeowners insurance actually cost in Littleton? This is a question nobody thinks to ask before they move here, and then it becomes the first thing they tell me they wish someone had warned them about. So consider this your warning. Colorado is in what insurance people call Hail Alley, and we get some of the most intense hail in the entire country. Now, here's something interesting that most people don't know. Being on the west side of Littleton, closer to the foothills and Chatfield Reservoir, actually means you tend to get less hail than areas on the east side of I-25 like Aurora. I used to live in Aurora, and my garden got destroyed multiple times in a single season. Now I live near Chatfield, and the difference is real. But here is the frustrating part. Your insurance company does not really care about that, and homeowners insurance in Colorado is expensive no matter where you land, often running several $1,000s a year, which shocks people moving here from other states. And if you are in an HOA community, after a major storm, the HOA can issue a special assessment where every homeowner gets a bill for their share of the repair cost. Completely unexpected, sometimes thousands of dollars. So when you budget for a home here, please add the insurance, add the HOA fee, and always ask about the roof condition and the HOA reserve fund before you close. Question number 9. What is the outdoor lifestyle actually like? It's absolutely real, and I want to be specific about what that means here. Chatfield State Park is right here. Reservoir, kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking, a marina, and hot air balloons over the water on weekend mornings that never get old. Roxborough State Park has dramatic red rock formations and trails that feel like a completely different part of Colorado. Waterton Canyon is a beautiful trail through the canyon where you will almost certainly see bighorn sheep. If you are more centrally located, the Mary Carter Greenway Trail runs right along the South Platte River. It's a great biking and walking trail, and that combination of trail plus river just has a really great energy to it. And honestly, the best part, trails here are not something you drive to and make a big production of. They run through neighborhoods and people use them on regular Tuesday mornings before work because it's just part of how people live here. And question number 10, is Littleton actually right for me? This is the real question underneath all the other questions, and I honestly cannot answer it without knowing your situation, your budget, and what you actually want your daily life to look like once you get here. But here's what I have noticed after 25 years watching people move in and out of the Denver metro. Littleton works for a lot of different lifestyles. It's suburban, it's family friendly, the main street is cute, and the outdoor access is real, not just a selling point. The people who thrive here actually use the outdoors and they run their real numbers. Yes, it can get expensive, but what they get back, the trails, the mountains on the horizon from a random grocery store parking lot, the sunsets, the community that actually feels like one. For most of them, it's exactly the life they were trying to find when they started researching Colorado in the first place. If you're seriously thinking about moving to Littleton and want to talk through your actual situation, what neighborhoods make sense for your budget, what to realistically expect, whether this home move makes sense for your life, I would love to connect. No pressure, no sales pitch, just a real conversation with someone who actually lives and works here every day. If this video was helpful, please click like. It helps more people find this information and watch before making any important decisions. And subscribe if you have not already. I am here every single week with the honest, local, no sugarcoating version of what Colorado living actually looks like. Have a great day, and I will see you next week.